Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shows Amir Yamin, alhamdulillah. Today I'm going to talk about basically why I left Christianity, became Muslim. I didn't actually go straight from Christian to Muslim, like Christianity to Islam. Like most families, at least in America, most black families, we, Baptist Christian, raised from the ground up. Church on Sundays with grandma and mom and everything. But it wasn't nothing that I per se understood. It wasn't nothing that, I just know I was there. I know my mom tell me I used to do all the praise dances, thought I was going to be a pastor and all of that good stuff. So, but yeah, by the time I was 12, there was no church, and I didn't really understand anything that I might have learned, maybe, in this little Sunday school programs and everything. It was basically out of my life by that time. So by the time I turned 16 is when I actually started studying religions and, basically trying to figure out, had a rough past. So basically trying to figure out anything about God or anything that, that I might need to learn or whatnot. I had time to sit and think. I took what I knew from Christianity, the basic Christian stuff, Jesus, Son of God, Jesus, God, Trinity, blase, blase. I took basically, most of that stuff. And I knew some of that, like, I didn't know too much about, like, everything, but I did know some stuff, obviously. Read the Quran for my first time, and it appealed to me more. So basically, like, things that I remember, okay, it's going key notes that I remember is that, the Quran had Jesus in it, so that was a big thing for me that I didn't know. So I had read the Quran. I had started reading the Quran. I read it cover to cover, 3 days. So, I said that in my last video, all the way up until I got to Surah Miriam. I didn't know that they really actually believe in most of what us as Christians believed in, or me as a former Christian. I didn't know it was basically like the same. So, I got to reading that story, and then I was like, you know what? This sound more like it appealed to me more, because I never was able to grasp, as a child especially. A child's brain, it works differently than an adult's brain. So as a child especially, I never was able to grasp the idea of why would God create himself as his own child and kill himself as his child for the sins of everyone else. I never was able to grasp. Like, that was the main thing for me that I was never able to grasp with Christianity. It just made no sense to me. And like I said, as a kid, even, it made no sense to me. Like, that's the kind of question that I have. Why would God kill his own child, or basically himself? Because if he is himself and he is his child, is even more confusing to understand. So, and in Christianity, it's not like we get a lot of room to ask a lot of questions. And then it's like the questions that we do ask, they answer the questions, but it's not always the answer to the question. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go and I ask, why did God kill Jesus or whatever? Because he loved the world. Well, it says that in the verse, but he could love the world without killing Jesus. Why would he, need to do that? Those kind of questions. And, and then always to show the world how much he loved. He could just, like, it's God we talking about. So I figured out at an early age that with Christianity, it was like they put limitations on God But God is all powerful. They put limitations on God that limit him. They humanitize God. They make God into they make him more human than what he is. He's not a human, you know, so it was like, they made him human, you know, so they mentally made him human by the bigger him, the Father or whatever. And then they actually physically made him human, like with Jesus or whatever. So it was like just a lot of confusion, for me anyway. Not nobody else, but for me it was a lot of confusion, you know. So, you know, I figured if God want to love somebody, he could just love them. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, he don't have to, you know. I'm not going, if my cousin come and punch me in my face, I'm not going to go home and whoop my son, discipline him to forgive my cousin. I could choose to forgive my cousin. I could choose to not to, but I'm always protect my child. I'm not going to let him, you know, I'm not going to abuse my child because of something that my cousin did and something that his kid did. And it just makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like as Christians, it's like they had got too close to needing a mother, father, son. It's like they got too close to humanity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you know, like, he's nothing like us. He's not a human. He doesn't need a child. He could just simply forgive. He doesn't, you know, and even so, it's like Jesus, you know, in the Quran, Jesus in Islamic belief, which is, you know, I don't really like to say Islamic belief because me, as a Muslim, I believe that it's 100% true. Everything in the Quran, 100% true. And so really what it is, you know, Jesus is a prophet of God, you know. And then I also, I go by what someone their self says. So Jesus never in the Bible says I'm God, never where he says worship me or anything like that. He don't even say that himself. So why is we worshiping him, and, you know, and why is we saying he God if he never says this? You know, the Trinity's not in the Bible. The word Christianity is not in the Bible, but we have Christians. You know, Jesus himself, he was a Jew. I didn't know that until I was like 17. I didn't know Jesus was a Jew until I became a Muslim. This whole time thinking Jesus was a Christian, not even realizing that Jesus is Jewish, you know. So it was like, and like I said, I was doing a lot of studying before I actually became Muslim. So it was like, I even looked into like Messianic Jews, like the Jews that believe in Jesus, you know, they believe in the divinity and stuff, but that still was kind of like I said, like, I can't vouch for the Trinity, man. Like, it's just something it's one of those things I couldn't really vouch for.